at the Palace of Illusions. There was once a poor boy who roamed the countryside in search of work. One day he came across the gate of a magnificent palace surrounded by vast gardens. He gazed through the railing at the graceful building, adorned with stone arches, and at the long avenue of trees leading to its entrance. An army of servants and gardeners was tending to the palace grounds. "Excuse me," he asked one of the servants, "who owns this wonderful house?" "Our master is a great lord," answered the servant. "He is the richest man in the kingdom." "Is there a chance he might have a job for me?" "Certainly," said the servant, and invited him in. "In our palace there's always a need for working hands." He led the boy through courtyards and hallways until they entered the palace doors. The boy was amazed at the splendor that surrounded him. The halls were decorated with paintings and ornaments, and silk carpets covered their marble floors. But what impressed him most was the gallery of mirrors, which multiplied their reflections 1,000 times. Looking at them made him so dizzy that he couldn't tell left from right. Unless he had a guide with him, he would surely lose his way. Finally, they arrived at the upper floor, where the master of the house resided. The boy knelt before his golden chair. "So," said the master, lifting his eyes from his papers, "you wish to work for me?" He was an elderly man, with a constant look of scorn on his face. "Yes, my lord," the boy answered humbly. "Very well. We need additional staff in the kitchen. You will wash dishes, peel vegetables, and do whatever the cooks order you to do. Is that clear?" "As you wish, my lord." "But you must know that nothing in my palace is given for free," warned the nobleman. "I will give you a salary, but you will have to pay for your room and board." "I accept," said the boy. "Go down to the kitchen then. You may begin at once." "If I may ask for something, sir," begged the boy. "What is it?" "I have no money, sir. If I am to pay for my room and board, I wonder if I could receive an advance." "An advance? Very well." The nobleman started searching in his pockets and in his desk drawers, but couldn't find what he was looking for. "I'm afraid I don't have any money on me right now," he said finally, "but instead I'll write you a note, in which I promise to pay you your salary. The supervisors of the dining hall and the dormitory know my signature, and they will honor it." He dipped his quill in the inkwell and scribbled on a piece of parchment. "There you go," he handed the note to the boy. "Thank you very much, my lord," the boy bowed. "You are most generous." For the rest of that day, the boy labored tirelessly in the noisy and steamy kitchen, scrubbing dirty pots which were almost as tall as he was. At dinner time, the boy found out that the nobleman's words were true. Once he presented the note, the supervisor of the dining hall allowed him to enter and eat with the other workers, and the supervisor of the dormitory gave him a key to a room. His room wasn't as luxurious as the great halls of the palace, but it was clean and tidy, and it had a comfortable bed. For the boy, that was more than enough. He curled up under the blanket and thanked God for his good fortune. The next morning, the boy showed up once again in the kitchen and began to toil, following the cook's orders. The work was so hard that his whole body ached and his shirt became drenched with sweat. But he wasn't lazy for a moment and did whatever he was told. At the end of the day, he ate his meal in silence and went early to bed. He was too tired to join the other workers, who used to spend the evening strolling in the gardens, which were lit with colored lanterns. And so the days went by, similar to each other like two drops of water. At the end of the first month of his employment, the boy was excited to once again meet with his master. At the appointed hour, he climbed from the kitchen, which was on the bottom floor, went through the marble halls, and passed the gallery of mirrors, all the way to the master's chambers. "Good morning, my lord," greeted the boy with his head bowed down. "Good morning, boy," answered the old nobleman. "How may I help you?" "Well, sir, I've been working for you for an entire month." "And how do you like your stay so far?" "The work is hard," the boy admitted, "but the food is good, and the room is comfortable. I have no complaints, sir." "Good, good," smiled the nobleman, and went back to look at his papers. "Ahem," the boy coughed. "Is there anything else?" "Excuse me, sir, but it's time to pay my salary." "Oh, your salary, of course." Once again he started searching in his pockets and in his desk drawers, but couldn't find what he was looking for. "I'm afraid I don't have any money on me right now," he apologized, "but I'll write you a note. You already know that everybody honors my signature." He dipped his quill in the inkwell and scribbled on a piece of parchment. "There you go," he handed the note to the boy. The boy was confused. He was certain that this time around the master would pay him with gold coins. "What is it?" The old man grew annoyed. "Don't you trust my signature?" "God forbid, sir," the boy denied. "I trust you completely." "You'd better not doubt me. I am the richest man in the kingdom, and my signature is as good as gold." "Of course, sir. I apologize from the bottom of my heart." The boy placed the note in his pocket and went back to the kitchen, deeply ashamed for offending his master. He decided to never again question the old nobleman, who was kind enough to give him a job. That day he worked twice as hard as ever. After dinner, his friends convinced him to come out with them to the gardens. Thanks to the promissory note in his hand, he could buy himself a pint of cold beer. He enjoyed the singing, the dancing, and the fireworks which lit up the night sky. And once again, he felt extremely fortunate. The days went by, and the boy forgot his previous life. He worked hard and saw blessing in his labor. The head cook appreciated his diligence and promoted him to the rank of assistant cook, which earned him a small raise. This allowed him to rent a larger room, and even take an occasional day off, which he spent watching a theater performance or swimming in one of the many pools on the palace grounds. Every month he would climb up to the chambers of the old nobleman, pass through the gallery of mirrors, and receive a promissory note, bearing his elegant signature. Since everything in the palace could be purchased with these notes, he forgot that they were not real money. The longer he lived in the palace, the more of its wonders he discovered. He learned that the palace was completely self-sufficient. The bread which they ate was made of wheat, which grew in its own fields, and the soup of vegetables that grew in its own gardens. Chickens were raised in the hen house, and dairy cows in the barn. In its many workshops, cloth was woven, pots were turned, and glassware was blown. Bricklayers and stonemasons worked constantly to maintain the palace and construct new wings. Even the magnificent paintings that decorated its halls were made by artists who lived within its walls. All of this work was done without paying anyone a single coin, and all salaries were paid in promissory notes, signed by the nobleman. Years passed. The boy grew up and became a man. Thanks to his talent and diligence, he managed to climb the ranks and become the head cook. His handsome salary allowed him to rent one of the most beautiful apartments in the palace and furnish it in good taste. He would take his meals in the senior staff's dining hall, which was more luxurious than the general dining hall. On the weekends, he would entertain guests, serving them the best wines from the palace wineries. He paid for everything with the pieces of paper on which his master's signature appeared. But in spite of all these expenses, he used to save a significant part of his salary. He dreamed of returning one day to his native village, buying a small house and spending the rest of his days there in peace and comfort. Therefore he kept some of the notes which he received from the nobleman in a small wooden box which he hid in the attic. From time to time he would pull out the box, count the notes that had accumulated in it, and calculate how many years it would take him to fulfill his dream. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. The cook took the wooden box under his shoulder, and with a bit of excitement climbed to the upper floor. Although he had walked through the gallery of mirrors countless times, his head began to spin, and he almost lost his way. But at last he found himself standing in front of the old nobleman, who as always sat by his desk, poring over his papers. "Hello, my lord," he greeted. "Oh, hello there, head cook. How may I help you?" "Sir, I've come to hand you my resignation." "Your resignation?" The nobleman was surprised. "But why? Aren't you satisfied with your job?" "Until now I've been very satisfied," explained the cook, "and I'm grateful for the opportunity to work in your service all these years. But now I wish to retire. I want to buy myself a small house in my native village and spend the rest of my days in peace." "Very well," said the nobleman with clear disappointment. "Off you go then." "Before I leave, sir, there are a bunch of promissory notes that I would like you to redeem." "Promissory notes?" "Yes, sir." The man approached and placed the box on his desk. It was full of pieces of paper. Some of them were fresh, but most of them were wrinkled and yellowed with age. "These are all the salaries that I've saved." "And you want me to redeem all of these now?" asked the nobleman in bewilderment. "Yes, sir." "Very well," sighed the nobleman. Once again he started searching in his pockets and in his desk drawers. But as always, there was nothing there. "Unfortunately, I don't have any money on me right now," he said, "but instead I'll write you a note." He picked up his quill and dipped it in the inkwell. "But sir," protested the cook, "you can't redeem one promissory note for another." "Why not?" insisted the nobleman. "I'm the richest man in the kingdom, and everyone respects my signature." "This is absurd. I don't want another promissory note from you. I want real money. What kind of a rich man are you if you don't have any gold coins?" "You fool!" The nobleman gave him a piercing look. "I'm not rich because I have gold or silver, or because I live in a magnificent palace and have 1,000 servants at my command. I am rich simply because people trust me and respect my signature. As you can see, that is the only thing necessary to make me a wealthy man." "So all this wealth is just an illusion?" The cook was dumbfounded. "Everything is real as long as you choose to believe it is real." "Does this mean that I've lost all my savings?" cried the cook. "That all my work has been in vain?" "No, of course not," smiled the old man. "You can always stay here, in the palace. As long as the others trust my signature, you can use the promissory notes to buy anything you want. Food, drink, clothes, furniture." "But then I'll never be able to leave," said the man in horror. "I will always remain your hostage." "Precisely. If you don't want to lose all your savings, you'll have to keep your mouth shut. You must never tell the others what you've heard here today." "But," muttered the cook, "you can't possibly keep this a secret, can you?" "Why not?" the old man scoffed. "I've been doing this for many, many years." "Well, because like me there are thousands of people out there, hoarding your damn pieces of paper." The cook pointed towards the open window. "If for some reason everyone decides to buy something with these notes, your scam will be instantly revealed. After all, there are far more notes in circulation than there are products to buy." "And why would they do that?" asked the old man as he rose to his feet. "Why? Perhaps because I'm going to tell them exactly what kind of a crook you are." "And what if I make you a generous offer?" He approached the cook. "What kind of an offer?" the man asked suspiciously. "I'm not a young man, and soon I shall pass away," the old man said candidly. If you agree to keep my secret, I promise to leave you the palace and everything in it. You will be the new lord, the richest man in the kingdom. And then I'll write people worthless notes like you do?" asked the cook in disgust. "Don't be rash," pleaded the old man. "Look out the window. Everything you see can be yours." The cook's eyes were drawn to the beautiful view spread out below them. The palace buildings and gardens gleamed like jewels in the sunset. He had to admit that it was a tempting offer. "No," he finally said, "I can't do that. I can't live a lie." "What a pity," said the old man, and with a swift movement pushed the cook out of the window. Then he slowly went back to his desk, sat in his chair, and continued to look through his papers. The story you've just heard could be nothing more than a strange and meaningless tale. On the other hand, it could be an accurate allegory of the world in which we live. Just like the hero of the story, we work every day to earn our living, producing valuable things that everyone can enjoy. Just like him, we receive our wages in paper notes, which aren't backed by any real commodity. Just like in the palace, we can trade these notes with our fellow workers in exchange for the products and services that they produce. Just like in the palace, the system is stable as long as the trust in the notes is maintained. But if for some reason this trust is broken, the whole system may collapse. Throughout most of history, it was customary for every note in circulation to be backed by a gold coin, which was stored at the vaults of a bank. Under such a system, the expansion of the currency supply was limited by the amount of gold that was mined from the ground. Growth was slow, because the credit available for entrepreneurs was scarce. But on the other hand, the economy enjoyed a high degree of stability, and the currency maintained its purchasing power. However, in certain periods of time, including our own, the link between the paper notes and the gold backing them was severed. Whenever this happened, the government, with the help of the banking system, could print endless amounts of currency. This kind of system has the potential for rapid growth because entrepreneurs have access to an unlimited amount of credit. But at the same time, it tends to develop bubbles in the stock market, in the credit market, in real estate, and so on. When these bubbles burst, this could lead to a recession or even a depression. This type of economy is characterized by instability, recurring financial crises, and constant inflation. Now ask yourselves, where would you rather live? In a palace of gold or in a palace of illusions?